TDS webinar. We will be talking about Robotic Polishing Tool Part 2. On behalf of TDS, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for allocating your time to attend this seminar. Okay. We will have our Q&A sections after our last speaker has spoken. In case anyone were to have forgotten your questions, you may just type them inside the chat room and we will answer it one by one after the last speaker has spoken. And also a kind reminder to everyone, okay, I'd like to seek your cooperations by kindly switch off your computer camera mode and mute your mic in case any unnecessary noise or FaceTime image were to pop up during the webinar. Thank you for your cooperations. Okay. And for those who are not familiar with TDS products, I've displayed all the brands up here, as we are the authorized distributor for the following brands. If you have any projects but you are unsure which product or specs to choose, just speak to us directly and we will guide you slowly in choosing the best product for your applications. Okay, sometimes you do not want to overspend on products that you are not fully utilizing. So just speak to us and we will guide you. Okay. As for those who have missed our past webinar, not to worry. Just subscribe to our TDS YouTube channel and we will be uploading all our past recording videos, okay, where you can view our past recorded webinars video to keep yourself updated on our products. Thank you. I have already uploaded the QR code, so for those who have phone, you may just use your QR code scanner to scan it and it will bring you directly to our TDS YouTube channel page. Okay, as for our next week webinar, 1st of June, we have invited speakers from Fuji Hako, okay, a company which produces HMI touchscreen with gateway functions and many more. Followed by IT from UR, we'll be sharing more info regarding UR Plus function, how it can benefit user in choosing the right accessories for your applications. So remember to sign up when the registration link is ready. Before we begin, I'd like to share with everyone our new UVC AGV products.
UVC is a proven disinfectant against COVID-19 virus. Introducing UiBot, an anti-epidemic robot. Disinfecting your office during after office hours without the need for any human supervision. Scanning temperature of employees during office hours. With 6 UV lamps and a UV power of 180 watts, UiBot does a 360 degrees omnidirectional irradiation. Using shortwave UVC, UiBot is capable of destroying viruses' DNA and RNA in just minutes. Contacts us for more information.
So for those who are interested in our UVC AGV, email us and we will give you more information. Okay, now it's time for our webinar to begin. So may I invite our first speaker of the day, Jacky from Robotiq, who is famous for intelligent gripper. Okay, and they have polishing sand kits which are easy to program and use. Hi Jacky, are you ready?
Hi everyone. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, so you may present. Go. Okay, thank you.
All right. So thanks, Max. Good afternoon, everyone. And first, nice to meet you here. And thanks to TDS for organizing this event. So my name is Jacky, sales manager for Robotiq. And there's also my colleague in this call, Paul Guérin from the engineering team. So before starting my presentations, I just want to make sure that you guys can see my full screen.
Yes, Jackie, we can see your full screen.
Okay, give me a second. So you can see my full screen, right?
Yes, Jackie.
Okay, good. So the presentation I'm going to share with you during the next 20-25 minutes will be robotic application solutions with a focus on the finishing applications. So especially the polishing and sanding, since it is the main theme of this webinar today. So if you have any questions, like Max says, please feel free to ask at the end of my presentations or during the Q&A sessions. All right, so before getting into the main topic, I will give you a short presentation on our company first. Then I will deep dive how a product can help you in the finishing applications, okay? And at last, I will share with you a success story from one of our customers. So first, let's start with the robotic presentations. Our core mission is to free human hands from repetitive tasks. So Robotiq, we are a robot application solution provider. We provide the end-of-arm tools and the robotics know-how to let our user deploy the robot cell faster and easier. So a little bit of numbers here. We are founded in 2008 in Quebec City, east part of Canada, and we are 100% focused in collaborative robots. So we have more than 10 years of experience in the sectors, and we are also selected as one of the most influential robot companies by the Robotic Business Review for the 7 consecutive years. So here, as you can see, are some of our main application focus. So we have here, of course, the pick and place, assembly, packaging, insertion, machine tending, the finishing application, which I will discuss later about it. And there's also quality testing and the palletizing. So our customers who are using this type of applications are mainly from 5 sectors. So you have the general industries, the automotive tier, the aerospace tier, and the electronic industries. And at last, you also have some of the research centers. So those are our main product line right now. And first, we have the end effector. So they all come with a plugin software which you can install in the COBOT to make the programming of a product and our hardware more easier. So inside the end effector, we have the adaptive gripper, the 2F85, as you can see, the 2F140, the handy, and there's also a free finger gripper called FreeF. So we call it adaptive gripper because it's an electric gripper, which can grip different size and shape of parts using a single gripper. In other words, it eliminates changeovers and reduces the tooling costs. You can control the stroke, the closing speed, and the grip force of the gripper. And there's also a building position feedback and part detection features. So basically, when the gripper grips something, it knows that it grips something, and it can also detect the size of the part as well. The next product is our wrist camera. So it's a 2D camera directly connects to the robot wrist, and it is specially built for UR robot. So it is very simple to use. You don't really need vision skills. We provide the automatic and manual teaching methods, and it will guide you all along your programming. So you can teach, edit, and run the robot program directly on the teaching pendant, as you can see in the image in the slides. And you don't need to connect it to the external PC in order to program it. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this product today, as I will focus more on the next product, which is our FT300. So it is a 6-axis force and torque sensor. Basically, it enables you high precision force task. So in the next few slides, I'm going to talk a lot about this product features, how it can help you, how this product can help you in the finishing application, especially the polishing and the sanding. So back to the product line slide, you can see in the middle of the slide the application kit. So the application kit is our company new directions. Depending on the application itself, we will equip the customer, the user, with all the necessary tools and software for the robot so they can deploy the robot cell faster. And this is something we will continue to develop in the future. Another product that I forgot to talk about is the EPIC and ERPIC. So EPIC, it's electric gripper with a pump generator inside. So you don't need an air supply for it. While the ERPIC, it's pneumatic vacuum gripper with a very compact design. So this is all for the company introductions, and now I'm going to get into the main topic of the day, so the finishing applications. So in fact, in many factories, we'll see some finishing workshop. So the most common of which are polishing and descending applications. Whether they are manufacturing startups, small, medium enterprise, or multinational companies, they all have the same challenge. So they cannot find the workers to do the job. So all workers who are familiar with this finishing process are slowly retiring since the population is aging, and young people are reluctant to do it because of the high labor intensity and the working environment also affect their health. So more and more companies are starting to looking to automate their manufacturing process simply for two reasons. So the first one, it solved the labor shortage and the skill gap issue. The second one, it will improve the product quality. So no matter how long the work is, the robot will not feel fatigue, will not feel tired. So the speed, accuracy, and strength will all remain the same. The robot will always apply constant force on the surface. However, polishing or sanding or any other type of finishing applications such as deburring, grinding, etc., it is a very difficult applications for the robots. Traditionally, you have to set a lot of waypoints with the industrial robot. And the force sensor just gives you a bunch of numbers. You have to consider a lot of parameters, and this makes the whole thing, the whole programming more complicated. And sometimes the debugging and the installation time will be longer. It may take several weeks to several months, depending on your applications. And moreover, if you often change your production line of your parts, you have to reprogram again, and this will affect the production cycle. So let's take example of the window manufacturer for cars. So their glass productions depends on their customer need. Let's say they produce a glass for Toyota this week, and for Volkswagen next week, and for another customer the week after. The shape and size of the parts are completely different. So if they want to automate their process, it will not be an easy job for them. It will not be an easy task for them. Okay, and except the difference in the shape and size of the parts. So there's also a difference in the application requirements. So different industries need to polish different materials. So there's glass, there's wood, steels, etc. And there are also many different sort of manufacturing process, and the polishing tools are different as well. So facing all those challenges that I just mentioned, we provide you a complete set of tools and software allowing the user to easily program polishing and sanding applications in minutes. So I'm introducing two solutions here. One is the sanding kit that you see in the left side of the slide, and the other one is the external finishing kit. So in the sanding kit, we provide you the orbital tool, the mounting bracket, the air control accessories, and the force torque sensor. Okay. Same on the external finishing kit. We provide you the right tooling to do your job. Now you will probably asking me why you don't see the force torque sensor in the picture. And there's something called finishing copilot instead. So this is because Universal Robot, they have a model called E-Series, and they have a force torque sensor already inside the robot wrist. So our finishing copilot is basically a something like a USB dongle that allows you to use the E-series reach sensor like our own force torque sensor, the FT300. So basically, if you're using a UR robot, the E-series model, you can use the Copilot to unlock the functions inside the sensor. Or if you're using another model other than Universal Robot E-series, you can use our force torque sensor. Since UR is here today, and TDS is also a UR partner, so I will continue to use UR robot as example in my next slides. So let's talk about the first solution, which is the sending applications. So in these applications, the robot will bring the process to the pods. In this case, the UR robot is sending a solid wooden parts using the sending kit. And with the finishing copilot, so the sensor, the force sensor, the robot will apply a constant force, and the user only needs to set 6 waypoints. Okay, and then it will automatically generate a moving path for the robots. I'm not sure if my explanation is clear here, but I prepared a video for you so you can have a look, and it will explain how it works. Okay, so as you can see in the video length is very short, and the operators actually spend less than 5 minutes to do a simple polishing task. The surface you saw in the video was a curved surface, so we set 6 waypoints. But if it was a flat surface, you will only need to set 4 waypoints. And even on a more complex surface, such as the spherical surface, you will only need to set 9 waypoints, and then the robot will do the job. So it is always less than 10 waypoints. In case you have a huge surface like a bathtub or a table, for example, you can merge 2 path generators together. Okay, so it is still less than the hundreds of waypoints you have to set traditionally. The second solution here that I'm going to show it to you is the polishing application. So the robot will bring the parts to the process. So the first one was bringing the process to the pods, and now it's another way. So in this case, the UR robot is polishing a door handle using the external finishing kit, and using the finishing copilot, so the force sensor, we can set the external TCP, so the robot will bring the parts to the polishing machine and ensure it can always move at the constant speed and force at the contact point between the part and the polishing tool. Okay, so it will also compensate the tool's wear on a real-time basis using the contact offset. So again, since it is a webinar, I will share with you a demo video to explain how it works. that was the two solution I want to show it to you. And due to the time limit, I cannot share more details with you, but there's plenty other reference for finishing applications, as you can see in the videos and the slides. So if you have any other application or in your mind, or you want to know if it's feasible or not, so feel free to talk to us or talk to TDS after this webinar. We are happy to help. So to finish with this presentation, I will share with you a case study from Saint-Gobain, which is one of our customers. So Saint-Gobain is a French manufacturer for construction materials. So in their glass business group, they were looking to shift their factories to Industry 4.0. One of the main automation projects is to automate the glass polishing process, so the operators can focus on other value-added tasks. Also, they want to automate it because the manual polishing operation was very painful. It frequently caused muscle and skeletal disorder for the workers. So in this project, Saint-Gobain chose a force-torque sensor and the UR robot while keeping their own polishing device. So every time there's a new glass productions, the operator will simply use the path recording function in our FT300. So the operator will take the polishing device and make the movement. Then the robot will record and reproduce the operator's motions. The robot will then repeat the task itself. So you can see the video in this slide for the example. And by doing so, we solved the four major problems. We maintain the flexibility in their productions. They have a safer working environment. The productivity increased 3 times since the operator is focusing on the added value task while the robot is doing the repetitive task. And of course, they reduce the production cost. So that is all from my presentation today. And before ending it, I want to share with you some of our company resources. So we have a book called Lean Robotics, which is a guide to help you deploy your robotic cell faster. We have the e-learning platform, which you can learn more about our product features or train yourself on our products. There's also a forum called Degree of Freedom, which you can exchange some of your automation thoughts. And we have plenty of ebooks, case studies for your reference. So I'm going to send all those informations to TDS later so they can share with you. And at last, if you have any project on minds which need our helps, you can simply complete the blueprint form and our engineering team will help you with a local partner, TDS. So I guess that is it for today's presentations. I hope you enjoy it, and any questions, feel free to ask later. Thank you.
Hi, Jackie. Thank you for your presentations. Okay. Next, I'd like to invite Darrell back from. I'd like to welcome back Darrell from Universal Robot, a well-known company for its collaboration robot. Today, he will be sharing with us more about polishing application that was done by UR Robots. Hi, Darrell. Thank you. Hi, Darrell. You may begin when you are ready.
Yep, no problem. Just a quick check. You have my screen there. I'm hoping you do.
Hi, Darrell. Yes, I can saw your screen.
Perfect.
It's working.
Thank you. No problem. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. And I will give you a brief understanding of some of the applications that UR has been exposed to in polishing and sanding. And I'm glad I didn't use any of the Robotiq videos this afternoon, because I noticed there were a few there that we would have crossed over. So I'm hoping that we can see something a little different here as well. So Universal robots, before I start, I think it's important I give you a little bit of an understanding of the robot line. And thank you, Jackie, for helping me with that conversation as well around some of the differences between the E-Series and the CB3 robot. So our CB3 unit is without a force torque sensor. We can still do polishing, and in fact, one of the things I'll show you here a little later has us polishing with a CB3. But frankly speaking, you are much better to take a CB3 and add a Robotiq force torque sensor to it to get a much better outcome. There is some limitations in terms of the amount of, well, not the amount, sorry, the force difference when you're polishing with a CB3 versus with an E-Series. As was mentioned, the E-Series does come with a force torque sensor, so we do have the capability to polish and sand directly with the E-Series to a much better finish than what you'd see with the standalone CB3. So all of our robot range is designed, I suppose, to feel the outside world, which means that converts across quite nicely to being able to polish or sand, because that feeling of the outside world gives you an understanding of where the robot is and where it needs to be and the amount of force that needs to be applied. Just for some understanding here, for those of you who haven't attended one of our webinars before, a UR3 is a 3 kilogram payload robot, 5 is 5 kilogram, 10 is 10 kilogram, and the 16 over in the E-Series is a 16 kilogram robot. So fairly simple to understand. With reaches that grow generally throughout the range, with the exception of the UR16E, which becomes very similar in size to the UR5E. To give you a quick background on UR, we are basically throughout the world, certainly throughout this region at the moment. I think we're past the 700 employees now, and certainly heading toward 44,000 headed toward 46,000 installed robots, as this data is a little bit out of date. The market share remains the same, and our UR Plus products, which a couple are demonstrated today as well, are certainly a key to keeping the cost down when it comes to implementing a robotic polishing or sanding application. So why use a COBOT, I should say, for polishing applications? There's a few reasons. The built-in force torque sensor is certainly one of them. It makes life a lot easier once you use the software that was mentioned a little earlier. But outside of that, the COBOT itself really are designed to be very simple to program and very simple to use, which reduces the cost in time. Something I'll show you also in a little bit is the difference between a traditional solution and a collaborative robot solution. So you'll get an understanding in video form as to why the COBOT is a much better solution. Obviously, COBOTs are designed to take away or take people out of dirty, dull, and dangerous jobs. You know, dangerous can include sharp objects or things like that, but also includes injury due to continued overuse of particular joints, which again, thank you for mentioning earlier. The native force feedback is something I mentioned as well. Our robots are designed to feel what's going around, what's happening around them, because we're designed not to hurt humans. So we get to feel the world through the native force feedback that's built into the robot, and hence again that helps us for polishing activities as well. Obviously, with any robotics that's involved in polishing, you're going to end up with a higher quality and consistency across your output. That's an absolute, very predictable, very consistent output. And with that, along with that, I suppose comes the reduction in waste. Now, there's a few things to keep in mind here when we talk about reduction in waste. It's just not just the product in terms of a damaged product that becomes waste, but COBOTs will also reduce the amount of sandpaper used, reduce the amount of polishing compound used, and reduce the mop for the polishing damage, because we can provide a very consistent polishing pressure polishing or sanding pressure to the workpiece. And with that, you only exert the required amount of pressure to get the final result that you're looking for, which is something that can be done with traditional robotics. It just takes a lot more effort to get there. So, industrial robots versus collaborative robots. A very quick brief here in terms of some of the other reasons that industrial robots, or should say collaborative robots, are more suited to this, and it's truly around cost here. And Robotiq offers a nice end user UR+ solution for polishing applications, which it fits into the end of arm tooling here quite nicely. So that pre-engineering and pre-design work, pre-programming has all been done by our UR+ vendors, which means the reduction in cost in that particular aspect. Obviously, well, may not be obviously, but certainly three-phase power is not required for our COBOTs. Infrastructure in terms of guarding, fencing, light curtains, all that sort of thing, not necessarily required. Obviously, we want you to do a safety audit at the end of the build to make sure that it is considered safe by you and your business as well. But there is certainly a lot of things that we can get away from in terms of infrastructure and software costs. UR software is free of cost. There is no extension to that costing at this point. So that means that everything you buy with our COBOT is available for use with our COBOT. I mentioned earlier as well the ease of programming, and because of the ease of programming, it means the integration time is actually quite short as well, and it can be shortened significantly, which you just saw with the sanding application that was put forward by Jackie. The amount of input required to actually get a sanding application done, a polish application done, is really lowered by the use of a COBOT. And what that also means is you have the capability to reuse the COBOT in a different application very quickly, should you need to, because your product has changed or your method to finish the product has changed. So one more important factor is that if you take a human alone and a robot alone, they are actually less effective in a industrial production sense than if you put them together, because humans are very good at taking things off jigs, putting things on jigs. They're very good at visual intuition, and obviously the cognitive ability, a human's ability to pick up a chair that's upside down and put it on a polishing jig the right way up is something that realistically robots are still a long way away from. We can do it, but the cost becomes a consideration there. So you can see that the crossover between the two actually is where the true money is to be made when you're talking about human-robot collaboration. Now, I mentioned before that we've got two different versions here, and this is an exciting presentation for me. And I'll go back through this a couple of times and talk through some of the things that are happening here. But we have two cells. One is a dedicated Cartesian robot sanding and polishing cell. So it's in sanding mode at the moment, but it also polishes. So you can see the amount of infrastructure required around this particular traditional robotic application. So obviously, the humans have stepped out of the cell, so if there is anything that goes wrong or anything that changes in the middle of the process, you're unable to make changes or fix that on the way through. Additionally, the floor space is much bigger than what you can see over here with the application that's being done with a collaborative environment and a collaborative robot. So, as I mentioned earlier, all of our product range can do polishing, and in fact, this is a CB3 unit that's doing the polishing over in the collaborative video over on this side. And it is doing it without a force torque sensor. So it can be done. It's just not as high an output in terms of quality as what you would see if you add a force torque or you use the E-series. So, and you'll also notice in this video, the human is actually getting involved. Oh, look, I've seen a small problem there that the robot may not have gotten through, and the humans actually fix that on the spot, so you get a nice consistent output from a qualified human eye, as well as what the robot can do in terms of the consistency of output as well. So what that allows you to do is to take into account the incoming inconsistencies and have a human potentially deal with the the inconsistencies that are higher than what the robot's dealing with in that cell, which is actually pretty exciting because it means you don't have to offload that unit and then reload it back onto the jigging to get the job done. So you can get things done a lot more quickly with a lot less wastage and a lot less product usage in terms of the consumables that are involved as well. So that's I think quite a nice example of where polishing becomes a very simple procedure for a collaborative robot that doesn't necessarily fit terribly well with a traditional robotic application. So the next one in here for me is actually on an automotive finishing line. For those of you who haven't been involved in an automotive finishing line, this is one of the most dangerous areas for an automotive producer. The main reason is one small dot of inconsistency in the product further up the line, a small piece of dust, anything along there will actually provide a totally unusable potentially panel toward the end of the production line. And it means a very large amount of rework potentially to get that panel actually up to the standard before it leaves that production line. So in this case, what we've got here is a number of robots that are being used to do a final sanding / polish to the bodies prior to them going into the final undercoat stage, which is then followed by top coat and the gel coat. So we have, again, the human interaction that you can see there right at the end, where the human is wiping down with a tack cloth to make sure there is no additional product or additional dots of anything left or oil left on the surface, which gives you, again, the crossover between the human and the robot to give a consistent environment that the robot works to, with an outcome that is above what a human standard would be by itself. So automotive is obviously a fairly obvious location for the use of this style. And as I mentioned, this is a combination between polishing and sanding. This particular application was set up very quickly because the joy of having a collaborative robot is, and you'll see our friends at Robotiq are actually included in this video as well. The robot itself is very easily programmable, and because of the force feedback provided by the force torque sensor that Robotiq is offering, you get a very consistent force exertion on the surface, and hence you don't have to program every single point along the surface. You can pick a few points, probably 3 over a full curve, and the robot is able to interpolate between those locations purely by using the force feedback that's available to it, which also you saw in the desk polishing application that Robotiq just showed before. So it does limit and reduce the amount of workload in terms of getting those applications up and running as well. So the last video I want to show here is actually is further away from polishing and sanding, but I just wanted to really emphasize how easily our cobots are set up, and with the advantages offered by force torque sensing in the polishing and sanding realm, how quickly the total package can be done. So we've already seen how quickly we can set up and use the force torque sensing to polish a surface. That was done earlier in the last presentation. Now I'm giving you how quickly we can set up and use a collaborative robot. Okay, so this is the full process from start to finish, and granted it's not a polishing application, but the setup is very similar in any sense. So 4 bolts to bolt down the robot itself, 1 plug to plug in the cobot into the control panel, and 1 other plug, and that one goes to the wall. So that's any single phase wall plug anywhere in the world. In this particular case, we're using a Robotiq gripper, so that is applied to the end of the cobot. There's a couple of little connections that are made for the gripper. Now, keep in mind, when Robotiq provide this gripper, they provide it with the software you see here, all of the cords and things that are required to set up the gripper as well. From here, the robot goes through some fairly simple programming. In this case, they're opening the door, checking the number of components that are in the stack, picking the stack, and then putting that into a jaws set of jaws in the mill itself. So you can see from start to finish, granted we've skipped over some of the boring things here around just reinitializing the robot and things like that, but the process is actually exceedingly quick for a collaborative robot to be able to do this. Add to that the simple process that the UR Plus vendors provide in terms of Robotiq, and you end up with a very fast concept to completion, polishing or sanding or deburring application for your particular workshop. So that actually sees me coming to a finish of my presentation. And as was mentioned earlier, there is question time at the end, so I'm hopeful that I'll hear some questions when we get there, and I'm looking forward to answering them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Darrell, for your presentations. Okay, up next, I'd like to invite Mr. Sabri from ERST, a company specialized in special chemicals that kill virus and germs, especially in the time of COVID. Okay, this is going to be a very useful product. So, hi, Mr. Sabri, are you ready? Now I can see your slides.
Thank you very much for having me over. My name is Schoenberg Sabri. I'm from ERST Germany. ERST is a German company who is actually specialized in manufacturing and producing innovative surface coatings. The company itself started it several years ago in Germany, fighting actually mold and fungus in the production halls for bakeries, and from that it started actually to build up more and more products. The company itself now is in a joint venture with ISDN Holdings, which everybody actually knows, I guess, and now it's called ERST Asia Pacific in Singapore. It was established in just actually last month. But the company itself, or ERST itself, is since over 4 years in Singapore, and we did the last 3 years more or less research and development in some of our products in order to see actually how it copes with the regional weather and condition, because as you can imagine, the European side is different than actually the Asian side. And now during the COVID-19 period, we want to concentrate actually at the moment on this two product, which is ERST antiviral and antimicrobial surface protecting coating, and Robotiq, water-based disinfectant. Both products are now used as a tandem, basically, in order to fight COVID-19. But as you know, whatever products we bring or you bring to Singapore, of course, there's always the question, is it actually recognized by any governmental bodies, HSA, NEA, FSA? We went, of course, to the government and tried to apply for all the paperwork that is necessary, and we got actually everything now together. The NEA told us that our products are not controlled hazardous substances and does not need to be labeled as dangerous goods, and is free to bring over to Singapore. Further, we needed, of course, also to be on the list. Our active products, the active component of our products, needed to be on the NEA list, which is now on a list as number 8, the active chlorine generated through electrolysis. Now, on this page, actually, You can see also some of our competitors who trying, of course, as well to fight the COVID-19 in different ways. Now, what makes our products different is that it works actually in a tandem. One product is for the long term, and the other one is an instant disinfectant, which is the Robotiq. This product, I will come a little bit later to it, is a water-based product, and very often used now in Germany and in new time because it is not poisonous and can be used actually even in the as food grade in the food section. In order to know how effective these products are, we needed to come up, of course, with a fast testing methodology, which in this moment Hygiene actually provides with the ATP device. The ATP device actually calculates the living proteins on the surfaces, the residues that are left over, which could be also some bacteria or contamination. Now, with this device, you cannot actually see if and which kind of bacteria are on the surfaces, but you can see that there are a contamination. And in order to visualize it also for our clients, because for them it's very important. They want to see, okay, I see a clean surface, but how can I tell that these products are also working? We use this device in order to show them a pre-swab. Takes 15 seconds in order to show them what kind of contamination they have, and then after swab to see the result of our product. This worked actually very good because this product is also used by the NEA, so it's recognized and is pretty easy to use. ERST itself, as I mentioned before, has several products. Mainly surface coatings like wall coatings, anti-mold, anti-fungus coating, anti-algae coating. We were approached here by different kind of entities such as hospitals, most likely. They had actually enormous problems with mold and fungus. You see a lot of advertisement of different kind of products, local products, which actually promises that their products are anti-mold and anti-fungus, but after latest a year, it appears again. Now, in a normal household, if you say, okay, I will coat it every 1 year or every 1.5 years, that doesn't make any big problem for me. In the industry, it can be actually make or break. Why? Because especially hospitals rely on an environment that is actually healthy for their patient, and when mold and fungus actually grows there could be actually some complication. We had this kind of encounter also in the National University of Singapore, General Hospital, KTPH. So all of these entities had problems that actually stayed for several years. We started it with Singapore General Hospital 2 years ago with a test to see how effective actually our products are. And it showed that since our products was actually applied, all other products that they used, they had to actually 4 times coat again, in comparing to ours that we did only once. For the Singapore KTPH, there was another problem with sweaty walls, where we had our ERST that replaces actually a 10 centimeter insulating wall. To this we will come another day. It's just to show you where our product range actually goes. Now back to Airstotizer. What is Airstotizer? Airstotizer is actually a clear surface coating that is applied as a 2-component product. on surfaces in order to stay also longer. We see a lot of products that actually advertise that you just spray and wipe, or just spray, and they will keep a very long time. Unfortunately, not one of them could actually also scientifically shown that this way is the right way in order to apply a coating on a surface. Therefore, our products come always in a two-component product, especially for different kind of surfaces, in order to prepare a surface with the pre-coating and then apply the main coating to make sure that the coating stays for a long time and keeps its effectiveness also for the long time. The products are tested against different kind of bacteria. We tested it even against a TGEV, a model for SARS-CoV influenza. And the reason is because a lot of people ask us if we can test it against coronavirus. Now, we have to tell them that we are not doctors. We are not here to cure patients and find a cure against COVID-19. What we are doing basically is that we find actually what kind of viruses there are. There are mainly two different viruses. There's enveloped and unenveloped viruses. And the COVID-19 belongs to the enveloped viruses. So we tested and see actually how fast or how effective can actually this product eliminate or deactivate the coronavirus. Based on the test results that we have, the effectiveness was sufficient enough in order that you can use it on surfaces, and after 5 minutes there was already no activation of any kind of viruses readable. Now the other question is, why should actually this kind of coating used in the first place? Because a lot of people are cleaning several times per day all the surfaces, and why again also this kind of surface coating? Now the answer is actually simple. We human beings have some mistakes. We do not follow always orders. We do not always follow the right technique, and I guess that's the reason why also so much robotics are actually produced and invented. Why? To make actually the work easy. That does not mean that the humans are now replaceable, but it helps them, and that is the same also with the coating. So on the left side, you see the typical disinfecting protocol where a person cleans the surface is free of diseases, but after a while it spikes up until the next time when somebody comes and cleans it, it goes back down, and so on. So what happens but if when the spike is so high and the contamination actually, the cross-contamination happens? How can we avoid this? And for this is the product Airstotizer actually made in order to do not let these spikes happening. The slow disinfecting of the surfaces ensures that accumulation of bacteria is not happening, and this happens actually through a very simple methodology, which is since long time actually known, that once the coating is applied, the surface actually is charged with atoms of nitrogen that attracts actually the negatively charged cell membranes of the bacteria. Now, when this comes in touch with each other, and bacteria mostly, they not fly only around in the air, they want to sit somewhere, they want to multiply, and for there they need actually a safe haven. And this is actually taken away through our coating. As soon as they sit the membranes will be actually ruptured, and the bacteria cannot multiply anymore. We tried on several areas, of course, in Singapore to also show that this product is effective, and applied it on areas where the product is needed. We also had the question, how is it somehow visible? Will there be some stripes, etc.? And we could say actually that there will be no stripes, nothing, and we brought it over through a very simple video where we said, okay, we will just apply it on a small mirror, which is actually very hard to apply, where you will see that there will be no residue left of the coating. We will take a look on this video. It's like 1.5 minutes. It's not long, so it's just to demonstrate that the pre-coating, application of the pre-coating and the main coating is A, very easy, and B, there will be nothing left. So what happens right now is that you have to apply it on a surface so that it's nicely prepared. The reason is all the surfaces that you see, we are thinking with our naked eye when we see it, it is very smooth. But we have to think in the microscopic level. And if you see in the microscopic level, all the surfaces has mountains and tails. So that is actually exactly where bacteria, etc., are hiding and building the biofilm. And once the biofilm is created, they will be able to multiply all the time. Now in the video you see that this gentleman is just coating one part of the mirror just to see the difference, if there is a difference to see between the coated side and uncoated side. What he does is basically he coats the surface and takes away the excess material. And there's no difference, as you see, between the coated and uncoated. And on a mirror, it is very hard actually to apply. We come to our next product, Waterliq, which is actually a cleaning and disinfecting agent, water-based. Now a little bit about the history of the oxidizing water is that this technology was invented by a Russian long time ago, over 40 years ago. And all of them, they had the same problem. And the problem is you cannot keep high redox potential water for a long time. The shelf life is between minutes and maximum days. And that is not actually very economic, because you have to have everywhere a machine sitting, produce the product, use it as you produce. And you can imagine that nobody wanted to do it actually because it doesn't make sense. Now, our company actually managed to keep the shelf life, if it comes out of the machine and directly into the packaging, for up to 3 years, first of all. That is the big plus. Once you open it and it comes also in contact with air, the shelf life still remains for 1 year. That means you have still 1 year time to use this disinfectant. Now, how effective this product is, we tested it against actually one of the harshest viruses. Remember, I said there are two different kind of families of viruses. It's the envelope virus and non-envelope virus. It is much easier to destroy an envelope virus than a non-envelope virus. You can see this based on the CDC chart, that the norovirus is actually in the higher region than the coronavirus. The coronavirus as an envelope virus is easier to eliminate than a non-envelope virus. Our product was tested against a non-envelope virus and succeeded with log 4. It succeeded actually, and it succeeded. It was able to deactivate the norovirus in a short period of time. The product itself has a redox potential of over 800 millivolt. So whoever has actually an idea about what the redox potential means of the water is, that our normal water, drinking water, is between 200 and 300 millivolt. And if you go for swimming, etc., this redox potential is always used in sea or an aquarium, how clean or how healthy the water is. The higher the redox potential, the higher the chance that this product can and will erupt actually cell membranes of bacteria or deactivates viruses. And with 800 millivolt, we are above actually the line where we can say that we can deactivate viruses and eliminate bacteria instantly. So no waiting time required. So you can see it actually that we tested it with our ORP meter. Water is 230, 240.
That's why it's 248, 250. That is the
and
oxidation strength of the tap water in Singapore.
Which is actually an indication that it's okay, this is clean. And in Singapore, they use chlorine in order to keep the water actually fresh for a long time.
That is the oxidation strength of Robotiq.
And from Robotiq, it goes way over 780 up to 800.
800, so it was show 200, 800. Yep. And that shows actually that with this product, you can actually eliminate bacteria and viruses instantly.
Yeah. So that was a mistake. Viruses we deactivate and bacteria we eliminate. Now the other question was, how do we get actually this product actually on a bigger surfaces? Actually, the products that you have, the Robotiq systems, is actually perfect because with this you can drive around, and I think the NTU tried it also already. But how to bring it into the air? We use the ultrasonic system, and the reason is because this system produces droplets in the size of 1 to 5 microns. The reason why it should be so small is that it can stay longer in the air and can disinfect a larger surface. This machine that you see on the left side can actually disinfect a surface of 200 square meter in 1 hour with our product. And even if people are inside the room, there will be no disturbance and there will not be any risk for health. For cars, for instance, we have the small Coke-shaped size cans that also actually runs on 12 volt, and it can be used inside the car without disturbing actually the electronic of the cars, because again, the product, the droplets are so small that they will not disturb or eliminate or disrupt the electronic, but it will discharge as soon as it comes in touch with any kind of pathogens. And we tested it in a hotel room last 2 weeks ago, and in only 10 minutes the disinfecting rate was so high that the hotel manager was actually very happy about this. So, sorry. Yeah, here we go. So I spoke just now about Robotiq. We are now on the way actually to implement this system also in maybe in buses, that it can be actually built up in the buses itself with a common rail system, and during the drive it can actually discharge, start misting the entire area without actually putting the people in danger, but it will be effective enough to disinfect bigger surface areas instantly. This can be also mounted on top of AGVs, and like the hospitals, some hospitals in Singapore using AGVs, can be mounted on it and actually disinfect also larger areas and surfaces automatically. Good. That was from my side. And I'm sorry again for the disruption. And if there's any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Mr. Sabri.
Welcome.
Okay. Let me see. Okay, if anyone has any question, please type them inside the chat room. Let's see if they have any questions for any speaker. Okay, I think there is no questions. So if not, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to an end of our webinar. Thank you very much for your participants, and I would like to thank all speakers for your presentations. I hope you enjoyed the program. If anyone has any questions or inquiry, do email us. We will approach you individually. Okay, thank you and see you on our next webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay, bye, Darrell. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye, Jackie. Thank you.